Welcome. So I'm coming to you here live from Tzfat, and I want to share a few words on this week's Parsha, Parshat Baalotcha. For those of you who are with us, there was a class earlier this week with the women's learning program, one of the women's learning programs here in Tzfat, the Bas Medrash, and I gave this over there, and we failed to record it, so I was inspired to do it again and share it again. With a few differences, because it's always new. Everything's always new. So let's start learning about this parsha. This parsha starts with the lighting of the menorah, where Aaron, the Kohanim, are told to light the menorah. And so pretty much everything that I'm going to share today is connected to lighting, and we'll see what we can get out of it. So it says in the Midrash, and I'm just loosely translating from the Hebrew here, so hopefully it's clear. It says, Baalotcha et hanerot, you should light the candles. This is what it says, Hashem chafetz leman tidko yagdil Torah v'yadir. So it says in Yeshayahu, in one of the prophecies, that Hashem wanted for his righteousness to become great, and the Torah and his wonderfulness, his awesomeness. For this sake, we are doing this. Amar lo Kadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe, lo bishvil shani tzarich lenerot ha'articha al hanerot, ela lezakotam. Hashem said to Moshe, I don't need lights. Right? Hashem created everything. Hashem doesn't need lights. He said, I gave you this mitzvah of lighting the menorah for you. This is giving you something. It's giving you a zchut, a merit, to be able to light these candles. Teda, כשאדם בונה בית, עושה לו חלונות צרות מבחוץ ורחבות מבפנים, כדי שהוא יאיר, שהאור נכנס מבחוץ ומאיר מבפנים. So everybody knows when a person builds a house, they build their house so as much as possible the light will come in, right? The light comes in and it's very wide on the inside of the house, so let the light in the house. Shlomo shebana Beit HaMikdash lo asa kach. But when the Beis HaMikdash, when the Holy Temple was built by Shlomo HaMelech, that's not how he built the windows. The windows were built in a totally different way. They were built narrow on the inside and wide on the outside. And this is giving us an understanding. We can understand something very special from this, that the light of the Beis HaMikdash, which is the symbol of what our house should be like also, the Mikdash Ma'at, that the light should shine from inside out. Right? And this is a theme that we're going to take all the way through with this parsha, that this light, first of all, Hashem doesn't need it, but it seems like Hashem does want us to do something with light. He wants us to shine it out to the world. And this is symbolized by what it says here, that this light of the menorah should be lit by the Kohanim. And this light says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Hashem, when you light this light, and you're careful to light this light for me, I will, in turn, I will bring you to the great light of the coming days, of the future, of the redemption times. As it says in Yeshayahu, Kumi ori, kiva orech, v'alchu goyim lorech, umlachim lenoga zarchech. Right, so it says this beautiful pasuk coming from Yeshayahu also, saying, awaken in your light, right? Your time has come, your time of light has come, and all of the nations will go after you in this light, and the nations and the kings will be touched by this light. Okay, so this is the midrash, one of the midrashim on this beautiful parsha, and we know that really, when we talk about light, when we talk about the Mishkan, so the temple, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, first of all, it's a real house. It's a real house in the world. And it's not only just a real house, it's teaching us something because, for 2,000 years now, there has been no Beis HaMikdash for us to go to. We have a remnant, we have the Western Wall, but there's no actual house to go to. So, and we keep talking about it, and we keep praying for this house to come back. So all of this time that there is no Beis HaMikdash for us to go to and to be in, there still has to be a concept of this. It still has to exist somehow in the world. And we know from the Bilvavim Mishkan Ivne, it says, in my heart I will build a Mishkan, right? So we know that Jerusalem is the heart of the world, and the temple is the heart of Jerusalem, and the Holy of Holies, the deepest inner part of the temple, is the heart of the temple. And we all have a heart, right? Each of us has a heart, and our heart is where our temple is. And in that place is where we can build. We can build from this place a knowing that there's a light and there's an eternal light there. And we're going to talk about this eternal light some. It's one little word I want to say on that. We know in the temple, the menorah, it wasn't a Chanuki, it was a menorah with 7 lights. So there was a ner tamid. A ner tamid means a constant light, a light that would never go out, an eternal light. And this eternal light is symbolized now in our places of worship, in our synagogues, with usually a light that we never turn off. And I've had the awesome experience of making a few glass ner tamids, of chandeliers that are kept on constantly in synagogues around the world. And that light that never goes out, that never went out in the Beis HaMikdash, is something that never did go out, and it never will go out. And they say that when the temple was destroyed, so these very special aspects of the temple, including the menorah, were hidden away somewhere underground. And I've heard it said even that light has been lit this whole time. Wherever the menorah is hidden away, that most western light that was always lit, that was a constant light, is still lit. It's been lit all this time, even though it's hidden away. And we have to remember that this is not just a story. This is a story of us, and our hearts are also that temple, and that menorah is also inside of our hearts, and that light that will never go out is also in our hearts. So we have that place that we can reconnect to forever and always. Okay, so now we're going to jump to the teachings of Reb Nassim, the main student of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, on the Parsha. And there are many, many teachings on this, these first few words talking about lighting the menorah. It was very hard for me to pick one to share, but I'm going to share a little part of one of them that I found really beautiful. So it says in the pasuk, "V'zeh maseh hamenorah miksha zahav." This is the menorah, which was made of gold. Maseh menorah hu b'chinat Torah, kamo shekatuv, ki ner mitzvah v'torah or kamuva. So this whole story of the menorah, says Reb Nassim of Breslov, it's an aspect of the Torah. As it says in Mishlei, the candle, a mitzvah is a candle, and the Torah is the light. So first of all, this is something really worthwhile to take a moment and contemplate regularly. Imagining a candle. A candle is like a vessel that holds the light. It's like the tether for the light. The wick connected to the candle is holding the light. Otherwise, the light couldn't be there. And then from that we see the light itself. That light shining out is the Torah. Okay, so something deep to contemplate. V'zeh b'chinat ner maravi, hu edut l'kol Yisrael ki mimenu haya matchil uvo haya misayem. This is Western light, which I was referring to before, which is this westernmost light is a witness for Israel. This is something that we need to remember, because from that place the candles were always lit, and from the beginning and to the end it was a constant cycle that would never end. Ki kol b'chinat hitorut shalanu hu rak kemadlik ner she'eno oseh klum, rak shelokeach ner madlik bo nerot acherim la'alafim levavot kamo sheyotzeh. We know from fire, from candles, that one candle, when one person lights another person's candle with their candle, it doesn't take away from their light, it just adds light to the next person. And this light can be continuously passed on and continue to light candles to countless numbers, into infinite numbers of lights, of candles. Uve'emet, im lo haya lo elo anerot, o advarim shemadlikim, bevadai lo haya efshar lo dadlik avanim v'afar. If we didn't have these materials to light the candle, it wouldn't be possible to light anything. You can't light dirt. V'kein im lo haya lo ner ladlik mimenu, o eze davar lo tzi mimenu esh, bevadai gam kein lo haya efshar lo ladlik. And if a person doesn't have a candle, or some way to light the candle with a fire, there wouldn't be any way to light it. Nimsa shakol me'eto yitbarach ha'esh va'ner va'shemen va'ptila hamadlik va'nidlak hakol me'eto yitbarach. So this is the story. Everything is really the candle, the wick, the oil, the person who is lighting, the thing that is lit, the match. Everything is from Hashem. Everything is from the Creator of the universe. V'afal pichein im lo yaseh adam maaseh kolshehu likach haner ladlik bo acherim bevadai lo yeh nidlakim me'atzmam ki kach bara Hashem yitbarach haBariah. But even though everything is from the Creator, everything is from the Creator, and we didn't make it ourselves, still, even though that's the case, there's no way that the candle would be lit if a person didn't do it, right? We have our job. We have what we need to do. Everything was created with great wisdom. So this is how the creation was made. Even though everything is set up from us and everything is from the Creator in the first place, we have a job. This is part of the greater wisdom of the bigger story of what is going on here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Creator of the world, wants us to do something. He wants us to bring an awakening, what's called an awakening from below, meaning in this case, lighting the candle. And even though it's all from Him, this is our work. This is what we're doing here. And we have let's go on. Ki kol avodat adam et Hashem yitbarach hu b'bechinat hadlakat v'herat or haneshama. Everything, all of the work that we have to do as people in this world is this aspect of lighting, of shining from the inside of ourselves. Every single person has a soul, and that soul has this light shining inside of it. And this is what we're here for, is to find a way to shine it out to the world. Kamo shekatuv b'Zohar HaKodesh. Ayeh dela salik be nura mevatshin le. Gufa dela salik be nohora denishmata v'chule. I can't translate the Aramaic, but we can trust the Zohar is giving over that idea. V'zeh b'chinat ner hamaravi, shehu edut she'ashchina shara b'Yisrael. And this again is bringing us back to the aspect of that westernmost light, which never went out, the Ner Tamid, the constant light that never went out and never will go out, that's always there, which is a witness. This is proof to Israel that the Shekhinah is with us. The Shekhinah is shining. Ki mimenu haya matchil uvo haya mesayem. From this place everything starts, and it also will end there. It's an ongoing, unbroken chain, constant lighting. From the beginning of that light, from when it started, it'll never end, and it keeps going and going from there. Hainu shatchala v'hasiyum hakol mimenu yitbarach levad. Ki ner hamaravi haya dolek benes, kamo she'amru b'avotenu. It says in Yoma, this all really comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It all comes from the Creator. That westernmost light, a candle that never goes out. This is a miracle, right? And it was lit by God Himself, so to say. And it's a miraculous light, right? It's all from Him. V'alkein bevadai haya yechol hu yitbarach ladlik ba'atzmo et kol nerot hamenorah. V'kamo she'amru b'avotenu zal, v'ki l'ora hu tzarich. Obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem could have lit all the candles Himself. He doesn't need us to do it, right? What does Hashem need us to do it for? Ach tiva lanu v'yizhir me'od al hadlakat nerot hamenorah. But that's not how it worked. Even though Hashem could do it Himself, He told us very specifically that we should do it. That's how they should be lit, that we should be active, that we should awaken from below and light the candles of the menorah. L'horot she'af al pi she'akol mito yitbarach kanal, af al pi chen anu mechayavim al kol panim ladlik et nerot hamenorah. Even though everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have this job, we have this place where we need to light the candles of the menorah. This is thought of as our awakening, right? We have a very important role. Even though everything could have been done without us, and we aren't, in a sense, what are we even here for? What are we even needed for? But very specifically, the Torah is giving us this very, very clear message that we're here for a reason. We have something to do. We need to bring that light and move the light, which started from this miraculous light that was given and that will last forever. But we need to pass it on. We need to keep lighting the lights, and we need to keep taking that light and continuing to spread that light. Okay, we read that. מסיים, וזהו בחינת מעשה המנורה שהיה כולו מקשה. על ירחי ועל פרחה מקשה הוא, דהיינו שכולה נעשית מעשה אחד מראשית ועד סופה, עם כל הכפתורים ופרחים. So this menorah the whole thing was a miracle, right? And I'm not going to read this inside because it's getting close to Shabbos and I need to get ready for Shabbos. But we all know that the menorah, Moshe Rabbeinu was told to make the menorah, and he was given instructions of how to make it, and then he took the instructions, and then he couldn't do it. He didn't understand, or he forgot. And then Hashem would tell him again how to make the menorah, and again it would happen that he couldn't do it, or he forgot, and he needed to be told again, and this happened many, many times, until it came around to the place where Hashem said, just take this piece of gold, a big chunk of gold, and throw it in the fire, and it'll make itself, which is what Moshe Rabbeinu did. So again, this is giving us an example of the same idea, the same concept, where even though on one hand we feel like, what can I do? I can hardly do anything. I'm really not doing anything. And yet we still have to do what we can do. So Moshe Rabbeinu throwing the gold into the fire was an action, right? Even though he couldn't make the menorah himself. So this is a great chizuk. I don't know about you, but I've been having an extremely frustrating day or two. And sometimes you feel like you just can't do anything. You can't really get anything done. But that doesn't mean we should stop trying, right? The world is in a state of so much chaos and so much brokenness. Sometimes it feels like, how could I do anything? How could I do anything to help this situation or make it better? But we still have to try. We still have to make our little steps and take the little light that we have and continue to pass it on. Okay. We'll let that be for now. And I want to share with you a couple more things. Let's see if I have my correct page marked here. Yes. Okay, so I was thinking, what is it that we really can do? If we're getting this message from this parsha that we have these specific acts that we are told to do, that we need to do, but for the most part, really, everything is from Hashem, and everything is because of Hashem, and how much can we really do anyway? So I was thinking, if we can focus on something that we can really try to do, and it seems like the world is really in need of this now, it's to really bring ourselves to a level of really loving one another, really finding the good in each other and loving each other. So I found this story. It's a Baal Shem Tov story, which is connected to this. I have this to share and one more thing. And then we're going to jump into Shabbos very soon. So this is a story. As a boy, the Baal Shem Tov's father taught him to love every Jew, regardless of who or what he or she is. The Besh learned to love simple Jews without any condensation. As an assistant Melamed, he loved the Jewish children he had under his care so much that he often kissed them. After his marriage, when he ran an inn with his holy wife Hannah, he served the guests as if he were serving the Shekhinah. The Besh's self-sacrificing love for his fellow Jew carried him to great attainments in holiness and God-awareness. He developed his way of love of Israel all his life until it became a complete book of 400 chapters, whatever that means. The rabbis say that a Jew should be especially careful about one mitzvah, fulfilling it in all of its depth and in all of its details. For the Baal Shem Tov, for him it was the mitzvah of love of Israel. When a Jew was in trouble, the Besh prayed for him and did a pidyon nefesh for him. Although a Jew was on the other side of the world, the Baal Shem Tov heard his sigh. He was ready to sacrifice himself and give up his own life for any Jew, even someone who he had never met. The Besh used to say, "Love your neighbor as yourself" means to love the person you are with at the moment. His disciples saw that when he met someone new, his whole body actually shivered. One summer day, the Baal Shem Tov went with his disciples in a few wagons to the countryside. They stopped next to an open field and got down for a walk. After walking for a while, when they came to an area of soft grass, the Besh sat down with his disciples around him. Then he said, "Let me teach you about the love of Israel. You must love a fellow Jew just because he's a Jew, even if you don't know him at all. The Holy One, blessed be He, told our father Abraham, "Look at the heavens and count the stars if you can. So many shall your descendants be. From the earth the stars appear small, but in the heavens above they are very large." The Jewish people are likened to stars because they appear very small in this world, but in the upper world, in heaven, they are very great. I tell you, each Jew is as precious to the Holy One, blessed be He, as an only child to his parents in their old age, and even more than that. Love of Israel is the first gate leading towards the courtyards of God. You cannot enter except by passing through that gate. You might think, I'll seclude myself in the world of Torah, prayer, and meditation. There's a time for seclusion, but I tell you, love for fellow Jews and self-sacrifice for their sake will lead you to much higher mystic attainments than any solitary practice. You shall love your neighbor as yourself is the commentary and explanation of you shall love the Lord your God. When you love another Jew, that is his essence, his soul, you are loving the Holy One, blessed be He, himself, since every Jew is actually a part of God from above. Chelek Elokai mi'al. Love of Israel is love of God, for it's written, "You're children to the Lord your God," and when you love a father, you love his children. The Torah says, love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. You and he have the same essence, the Shekhinah, which is the soul of all souls. There are three loves which you should strive to acquire: love of God, love of Israel, and love of Torah. The Holy Zohar says, God, the Torah, and Israel are mystically one. Just as you love the Torah because it's God Torah, so must you love Israel because they're his people. Not because they're good, intelligent, or possess any other virtue. If you see something in the Torah that you don't understand, you don't express doubts about it, God forbid, and you try to explain it. So too with any Jew. If you see something wrong, God forbid, about him and you don't understand, try to explain it and justify it. The house of Israel is basically divided into two groups, although there are many grades within each group: the simple, unlearned Jews and the Torah scholars. The commandment to love Israel is to love both of these and those. You must love the simple people because they believe in God and his Torah with a pure and simple faith. And you must love the scholars because of their Torah knowledge. The Talmud says the greater person is, the greater is evil inclination. Although scholars tend to be arrogant because of their knowledge, they're still good Jews and you should love them. You must also love Jews who don't observe the Torah. There are two main reasons to love a Jew: simply because he's a Jew or because he knows and obeys the Torah. Only the first relates to a person's essence and is equal for every single Jew. You must love a Jew just because he's a Jew. Love of Israel means loving each and every Jew regardless of who he or she is, whether a man or woman, a rich person or a poor one, a Torah scholar or a simple one, whether he's good or someone who needs to become better. After this teaching, the Besh and his disciples returned to Mezhebush. Once they arrived home, the Besh went to his room, but his disciples went to a special house that they rented outside of town, where they often gathered after their master taught them Torah and reviewed what he had said. They continued to discuss these teachings far into the night because they were part of the essence of the Besh's teachings. So we can understand how essential it is to love, and before this reminded me of this parsha, because really we have this opportunity, understanding this parsha, that we have the role and the opportunity to pass on that light. There's a miraculous eternal light that can never be put out, and we need to figure out how to pass it on in the world. And I think my humble opinion, one of the most powerful ways to do that is to look for the good in ourselves and in each other. It's real work. Sometimes it's easier and harder than others, but it's something that can really make all the difference in the world. And like the Baal Shem Tov said, this is what brought him to his highest levels. Okay? So I'm going to share one other little teaching that I heard this week from Rav Shmuel Eliyahu, the rabbi of Tzfat, the head rabbi of Tzfat, Shlita. And I'm just going to loosely translate straight from the Hebrew to the English here. Again, this idea based on light. He says, we try to thank and bless God on everything that we enjoy in this world, on our eyes that see, our feet that walk, on the physical type of things, on the spiritual type of things, on with all of the thousands of things that we enjoy every single day. We're not really even able to bless all of them. It could be a beautiful view. It could be a nice wind. We can be good people, and it could be good people and good situations. It could be a car. It could be an air conditioner. It could be the fact that we have a stove or electricity that lights up our house. But if we really can't bless on everything that we see that is helping us. It's that we're enjoying, that we're benefiting from in this world. There are things that we can't even see that we could think about being thankful for, like our mind that is thinking for us, how our heart is beating inside of us, how the electrons are racing in this unbelievable speed to make everything work inside of us and make us alive. And all of these unbelievable things and many, many more things that we can bless on every single day. We go about our day, and there's a blessing that we say in the morning which covers all of these, and it's the blessing called Birkat Yotzer HaMeorot, the blessing of the creator of light, of the lights. In this blessing, where we say that God created the luminaries in the world, we don't only bless Hashem, God, for creating the sun and the stars and the moon, but we bless on everything, because the end of that blessing says Ve'al Hakol, on everything. It literally says on everything. We start saying Oseh Shalom Ubarei Hakol. We say Hashem makes peace and creates everything, and then we go on and we continue and say on all of the wondrous creations of God's hand. And then we also finish that prayer saying Hamechadesh B'tuvo B'kol Yom Tadmid Ma'aseh Reshit. We say that we're giving thanks for how Kadosh Baruch Hu Hashem is constantly recreating with His goodness the workings of creation from the beginning, constantly, over and over again. So in this blessing, this is how we start our day. In this blessing, we bless God on all of the good that's created in the world, whether it's something good that we see or something good that we can't even see. And on everything, we give thanks with joy about this with a light in our face, he says, every single morning with joy. So this is it's a very, very special Parsha, and I want to give us all a blessing to really light up the world, to bring the light, to be the light. And thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming and learning a little bit of Torah with me. And we should really be zoche to have a beautiful Shabbos and keep spreading the light, finding the good in ourselves, finding the good in each other, and lighting up the world with that light that will never go out. Shabbos.